It's Offside with Hawes and McGuire.
There we go.
Pretty
Welcome
good.
to Offside with Hawes and McGuire. I'm Hawes.
I'm McGuire.
All right. Hey, you know what? So first of all, we're going to start by plugging our sponsors.
Yes.
First thing you do. I'm going to plug my sponsor, my beer sponsor.
Okay.
Okay. Redneck Lager. Okay. I really like it. I like the lager. You know, I used to drink 50.
Did you?
Yeah.
Room temperature
I know. I drink now a lot more. Yeah, see what I did? Okay, that's an old joke.
That's a good one, man.
I pulled it out. But anyway, I do want to thank it because, you know what, it's just my personal stock and preference for if I'm going to have a beer, it's nice to have a good lager.
Yeah.
Right? That's
Well, I love the name.
Isn't it a great name?
It's a great name.
You know what? Should I invest? Should I take over? Should I start doing and can we sell it? Because I definitely would be a great spokesman because I am a redneck.
Yeah, and listen, you are for sure. You're certainly along that category anyway. But yeah, well, you're a great spokesman anyway. So I think you'd be outstanding.
Oh, both. Okay,
yeah,
well,
I think you'd be outstanding now.
Okay, that sounds perfect. So we'll talk to them about that. We're pushing everything. We're gonna be so the next thing is we're gonna go. You're drinking X. I know. But you know what? Hey, Molson.
What are you gonna do?
What's Molson gonna do?
Well, you know what? I'm gonna send this. I've been meaning to do this, and seeing as we're doing it right off the top, and before we plug Hosey and Brown, who obviously have been so instrumental for us here, I'm gonna send this to
Molson.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Listen. Not only that, they should be listen, I'm happy. I'm a whore, just so you know.
Yeah.
I do like Molson products as well. Okay, I do like Molson. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. I mean, listen. And this is the oldest beer in their inventory.
Is that the oldest beer?
Molson X is the oldest beer. It's been around since 1903. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Ottawa won the Stanley Cup that year.
That's
correct.
exactly what I was going to say.
I know you were thinking that. And wow, we're in Ottawa.
Well, it is. You know what? All I say is Molson, Canada's name in beer since 1786.
Yeah.
We heard that every night on Hockey Night.
Hockey Night in Canada for a long time. For a long time.
So you know what? You may be a history buff, but I got some of that too.
You do. You definitely do.
All right. Okay. So
Hosey and Brown.
Yes, we're gonna talk about.
Yeah.
We got to think. It's coming up to Christmas time.
Yeah.
And our sponsors they've been very, very, very good to us.
Yeah.
And so we want to thank them and thank them for the opportunity to sponsor our trip to Ireland.
Yes.
And the winner of the hockey pool to go to Ireland.
Yeah.
Now, and I'm going to be honest with you, I have not looked at the pool since I had my stroke.
Okay.
So I'm coming back. I have no idea. So I did take a quick look at where I was today.
Yeah.
And I'm like 20th.
Okay.
So I went from
you're ahead of me.
You know what I mean? Yeah, you are on the last page.
Yeah.
You are on the last page.
I definitely am.
But you know what? I think it's important that we represent in both areas. Okay?
Thanks.
Just makes everybody feel welcome.
I need to make some trades. But it's not going to change anything anyway. I'm too far out, and I needed to do it earlier. And one thing leads to another. I was just in New Brunswick for a week. I didn't check on anything.
So
before that, just take care of my mom.
And so we done what we did. Right now. And I'm sorry, I know you were talking. I cut you off.
No,
but I want to talk about your trip to New Brunswick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because should I do the look? So Liam, why were you in New Brunswick? I don't know what you do with that, but you know what I mean. So tell me.
Hey man, I got hired by Steve Walton, who owns a company called NHL Legends. I met him a couple of years ago in PEI. He bought the company in 2008, managed to hang on to it through COVID, where he had no work.
Right.
And this was his first gig post-COVID, so it took 19 months
really
to get this organized. And what a group we had. I'll probably forget somebody, but Stefan Richer, Rick Vive, Darius Kasparaitis, Rick Dudley, not Rick Dudley, Ron Duguay, excuse me, Brian Scrudland, Steve Penny, John LeBlanc is a local hockey player from New Brunswick, absolute legend there, played about 90 games in the NHL as well. Chris Nyland was the coach. Lucien Debois, phenomenal. I know I'm missing one or two others, I think, but there were 10 anyway, all in, and we hit 5 locations. We were there a week and traveled around. It was great. couple of great drivers, Donnie and Dwight. Steve did a lot of driving too. And all we did, Chris, it was like the old days, packed into 3 vehicles, headed to a town. The guys played hockey. I did all the introductions. And then we'd have a post-game reception where we'd go upstairs. I'd do some more introductions. If I could, we'd do some trivia and things. And meanwhile, the guys just signed nonstop. They signed nonstop. They post for pictures nonstop, and then we'd go back to the hotel, maybe after a couple of nightcaps somewhere.
Yeah, just one more.
Maybe, just one more quick one, then I got to shut her down. And use that line a few times. It's great when nobody knows it.
That's right.
But they catch on, and they go, they realize I'm never leaving.
Didn't you say this a few hours ago? I don't know. Did you say it? Yeah,
Yeah, I saw your thing. It made me laugh. I had a good chuckle out of that. But anyways, listen, it was outstanding. These guys, even the players themselves, were saying they felt the camaraderie there. And these guys do this stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And we had a really unique group. And Matthew Dandino was another guy. 3-time Stanley Cup winner. So here, I'll finish on this note. Here's the stats on the guys. Okay. Collectively, they played 7,257 games, regular season games. They had 3,926 points. They had 11,184 penalty minutes. That's including playoffs. I added the playoff PIMs because it was substantial to put Chris Nyland and Brian Scrudland's playoff PIMs in there.
I can see that. Yeah.
So I wanted, because I love the PIM to be a big number. They played 798 playoff games combined. They were in 14 Stanley Cup finals, and they won 10 cups cumulative.
Wow.
These guys. And they had NHL records, team records. It's pretty damn cool, man.
So, I know there's a record, Brian Scrudland.
9 seconds OT.
9 seconds.
9 seconds OT, Game 2, 86 final against Calgary, assisted by Mike McPhee. I mean, before anybody got sitting down, finished taking a leak, and grabbed a pint, the game was over.
You know how I knew that?
No.
Chris Nyland told me that.
He told you about Scrudland's OT winner?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, well, actually, he didn't tell me, but he posted about it.
Oh.
Okay. He posted about it.
Okay, right on.
And I don't know whether it was after you had already, pointed it out or whatever.
Yeah.
But he was he was doing videos off the bench while he was coaching.
Okay.
Yeah. You didn't know that.
I knew Ron Duguay was.
Yeah.
And I knew Nyland had shot a video.
I'm not in Dugay's circle.
Oh.
Okay. I'm in Chris Nyland's because I guess, the Boston thing. But, Dugay's way too good looking to be hanging out.
Ron Duguay still...
Is he not a good looking guy?
He still looks fantastic. He's 67 years old. And the
He
story...
didn't look 67.
No, he doesn't look 67. Yeah, you would never give him that. And the guy just looks like he walked off a movie set. He still does. There's just no doubt about it. I mean, he lives in Florida full time. So does Riche. So does Kasperitis.
Well, I played hockey with Kasperitis in Florida.
Yeah, you had told me that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Darius Kasperitis and Matthew Dandino played defense. Here's the way it was. They played 5 games against basically men's league competition.
Right.
Okay? If they didn't want the guy to go by, the guy wasn't going by. It's just as simple as that.
Yeah.
And if Stefan Riche wanted to take the puck and go through everybody and score, he would.
Yeah.
In the first game, the kid was chirping a little bit, so he went in, whistled one bar down, and he pointed and he said, "I'll be right back." And he came right back down 8 seconds later and just drilled one in the other corner.
Yeah.
And said, "Hey kid, I can do this all night." I mean, it really is crazy. These are guys long retired.
Yeah.
Yes, they accomplished things. Like every game that Rick Vive played, of the 5, he got stronger. Like the last game he played, he scored 5 goals, Chris. He could have had 8. But the thing about Rick...
Well, he was a talented hockey player.
Well, listen, he scored 441 goals. He had 13 hat tricks, 3 4-goal games, 3 50-goal seasons. He's the first league to score 50. This is significant stuff.
And, let's add to this, he played for fucking Toronto. He played for fucking Vancouver. Okay, he wasn't surrounded by a Messier or a Tikkanen or any of these guys. He never had that surrounding.
No, that's a great point, actually.
If he had those guys, he'd have, I would say, probably 20% more points.
You know what? That's actually a very good point. And he, the only thing about Rick is this is alumni stuff, charity stuff. You're playing a wide variety of ages and talent. Yeah. He just doesn't turn it off.
Well,
like,
you know what?
He comes over the blue line. He's thinking of one thing and one thing only. Yeah. You know, like he was ripping shots, like ripping them.
He probably wasn't doing that though. He was probably ratcheting it down, thinking he's being the nice guy.
I don't know, man.
Oh, I don't know.
Lucien Devla went the first couple of games without scoring. You know, I mean, he's the oldest guy I think in the lineup, and he didn't score the first couple of games. He scores in the third game. The bench empties to congratulate him. I mean, this is a sign of how the camaraderie that was going on. But listen, you've been through the Maritimes. I have not. I've been to Fredericton 3 times. We have a mutual friend, mutual couple that are friends, the Gunters, Quentin and Lori. They're born and raised in Fredericton. They're very, very proud of that, and so they should be. So Quentin's parents are still alive, and they live in Devon, which is just right across the river there in Fredericton. So I went to the house, and I spent a couple hours with them, and that's where Q grew up, you know?
Yeah.
So if anyone knows me, I love that. I absolutely love that. And I really enjoyed sitting with them for a couple hours and talking about them raising their 3 boys there in the schools and where they went, the sports and everything. And it was just fabulous. And then we were on our horse, you know, just heading out around New Brunswick and up and down Highway 11, Highway 8. That was our main arteries to get around Campbellton. I mean, a lot of the towns that we played in, we didn't stay there. We stayed outside the towns, you know, like Petit Rocher, this little hamlet really, is right on the Bay de Chaleur, if I'm saying that right, and it is voted one of the top 30 bays in the world. You know, aesthetically.
I like the one at the Eaton Center.
Yeah, that's a good bay. That's a good bay. Yeah. So, anyways,
I was just being a dick.
Yeah, it's all good, man. Yeah. And I can ramble. The trip was great. Travel was great. Accommodations were fantastic. That Delta Hotel in Fredericton, holy cow. Like that was our last night there. It was like a full-on party from the early 90s going on in that lobby. You had Christmas parties. You had the bar was absolutely
Saturday night.
Saturday night. You had all the hockey games on all the TVs.
Yeah. Big
group of Bruin fans there. Big group of Leaf fans there. All Hab fans sitting around the bar. We descend in there.
Oh, sorry. So was that the Toronto-Boston game?
Yeah.
And sorry, how did that end?
I didn't get a final.
Oh, you never? No, you were just busting my balls.
I just busted your balls, man. And Marchand scores.
I just pick it down, just put it in.
Yeah. Well, it was. Well, you know, I was cheering for Boston in that one, but the Habs had a big comeback themselves to get a point.
They did the other point.
It was a really, really exciting game anyway, and it went a little longer. So it all the TVs went to Montreal, Detroit at the end because it went into overtime as well, but it went longer than Boston and Toronto. But you know, Richer, Deblois, Dandino, Duguay, myself, and Steve Walton, our main guy, one of our drivers, Donnie, were holding court there, and we were they're just grabbing guys as they were walking by, saying, ask this guy anything, and like the people would come up and say, are you Stefan Richer? And you go, yeah, but ask this guy anything, you know? are you Ron Duguay? Yeah, but ask this. You know, it was one of those things. But
you gotta like that.
Oh yeah, it's cool. It was cool. But the drive from Campbellton to Minto was about 3 hours, and Duguay told stories nonstop. Non-stop about off ice.
So you
Studio 54.
Oh, I can bet.
Oh,
that was his era.
His era, and he was one of the guys. You know. He was one of the main guys. Listen. Like he's talking about Farrah, he's talking about Cher, he's talking about Cheryl Tiggs, he's talking about Kim Alexis, who he married, and for 21 years they were married. They had 2 kids, yeah.
And he was with Carol Alt too.
He was with Carol Alt before Kim Alexis.
Really?
And I mean the stories that
he's told. He's now divorced?
Well, he's with Sarah Palin.
What?
Yeah.
The former vice president of... Yeah. She's with Sarah Palin.
Yeah. Shut up. Yeah.
Oh my! I didn't know that. Oh my God. Wow.
I know, right?
You know what? I gotta tell you, like, good for him, and good for her too. Actually, she's lucky because I think he's a way better catch than she is.
Well,
I mean, listen. Don't get me wrong. she was roasted and manipulated and all that stuff, and they make her look out to be this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The whole Alaska stuff.
You don't get there without being a bright lady.
No question.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And as it looked like she was carrying the whole family, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, good for him, good for her.
Yeah.
And
they're having a great time.
Yeah.
He's got grandkids and he's 67. But, he's another guy that got better every game out there too. Like by game 4.
Well, how often? When's the last time
he doesn't play? He hardly plays, and like Lucien, like some of these guys, they hardly play. Brian Scrudland is in phenomenal shape. Darius Kasparaitis, Matthew Dandino, phenomenal shape. These guys, I know they couldn't step in the NHL today, but they could step in like any men's league. You take the top men's league in Ottawa, whatever it is, RA Black. Any of the town leagues, Osgood, Mantic, Sunday night, take your pick, doesn't matter. If you drop those guys in, they would only ice, if they wanted to try, they would only ice to the point where you'd say, you're going to have to leave. You know, and like there's guys that have played, there's lots of former pros that have come in, right? And played in like our local leagues.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, not like these guys. Like Kasparaitis, do you know, Chris?
Yeah.
Nobody else played more games for Russia in the Olympics than Darius Kasparaitis.
Well, he wore the K.
He wore the K, and he won a gold medal, a silver medal, a bronze medal. He played 28 Olympic games, more than anybody. More than Yakushev.
28 games in the Olympics.
28 games combined in the Olympics. In 4 Olympics. He played in 4 Olympics, won 3 medals, won World Junior Gold. And if anyone remembers him as a player, like he didn't take any shit from anybody.
Oh, no, you know what? He was edgy.
And by the way, in 5 games, he probably threw at least 3 or 4 pretty good hits.
He did, eh?
Well, it's just young guys are ripping around out there, and he just stepped in front of them.
Yeah.
Like, he had 2 guys, you could hear the thud from the bench.
Yeah.
And those guys went down like a sack of hammers.
So
and then he
young
waited
lads
there.
going.
These guys are in their 30s,
Yeah.
Late 30s at the oldest, early 40s at the very oldest. A lot of them were in their 30s. These guys are all in their 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
And they're winning games like 14-2.
Well, they'd all be in their 60s. I can't.
No, there's a couple. Dandino's younger, and Kasparaitis is too. He's not.
Yeah,
he's not 60.
He's my age, though. He's like almost 60.
Actually, he was drafted 5th overall in '92 at 18. That's 31 years ago. So he's 32. No, he's 50.
55. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah, no, he's in his 50s, and
okay.
And it's just the whole thing. The whole thing was just fantastic. It's such a unique opportunity because I love being in Canada, small town Canada, and getting a chance to go to places. That's why Prince Edward Island, in the last 13, 14 years, I've done 21 gigs there, and like that province has literally adopted me, really. But, whether I get back to New Brunswick or not, I don't know. But
you know who else was adopted in PEI? Anne of Green Gables.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you and Anne of Green Gables. You're Liam of Green Gables.
That works. Take it. Is there a bar there?
Well, I'm not sure that aunt and uncle, whatever their names were, they seemed pretty fucking.
They would have had a 40.
He's probably in the back.
Come on,
in the corn crib.
Yeah.
All right, so listen, so last week, you didn't even post this,
right?
You didn't even post that. 2,200.
Yeah. So what happened?
Well, I used some titillating.
I saw the verbiage that you used.
Yeah. And you know what? Apparently it works.
Apparently
it works. And you know what? I hate that. I hate that it worked, but it worked. And the important thing is that we get people to come and watch the show and enjoy it and see that we're not just about smut whore talk. We are about real important issues like hockey, right?
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So anyways, that being said,
it was a staggering number to see, and you're right. I didn't repost it. I said, well, when I get home.
Well, you're gonna now. You got to go back.
Well, I already did. I already put it on Facebook.
Okay, because we got to get this. Just got to get that 5,000. Okay.
Yeah, that's
what I mean.
That's a big jump. I don't know
It'll
if
be
you
a
get
big
that
jump.
done by the time you post the next one.
Well, no, probably not by the time we post
not,
the next
so.
one. But you know what? We want people to go back.
Keep walking, and then
that's right.
I mean, that's a big jump. Let's see if we
it
get
is a big jump
here with this one.
It is. This is important. We got to have. This has got to be a big one. Okay, so to that end, the what I used as the hook was that it was rumored that Corey Perry banged Bedard's mom. Mm-hmm. Okay? And I'm sorry, okay, if that's the wrong verbiage, or the whole banging. It sounds so harsh, I know, but you know what? Unless he does that in the corners, he does it in front of the net. I think he did it with the mom. Now, I'm going to say this. Everyone's denied it, and it's obviously was some other sort of behavior.
For sure.
It was
absolutely
not that.
Never happened.
It had nothing to do with
and
that.
I said that right out of the gate. As soon as the rumor was spread by the guy on Twitter, and it was him, and it's an anonymous account. I saw it, and of course we're in New Brunswick. I'm with all the hockey guys. And it went, there was a lengthy discussion as we were traveling from town to town about all of this. And my point, I said it never happened. Absolutely did not happen. It's bullshit. And that's come to pass now. That was the case.
Well, and you know what? I got to say, Kristen even weighed in on this.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Because...
Well, it's pretty salacious, so it transcends the sport.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. So she's a woman, and you know what I mean? And she said, like, what if someone had said that about me? Like, about her, right?
Yeah.
She had slept with Corey Perry.
Yeah.
And I said, well, does her son have an NHL contract?
I knew as soon as he was going down that road.
The point is that she was offended for the mom, okay? And,
for all parts. What about Perry's wife? He's been married for 8 years. He has a young child at home. Yeah. How do you think she felt? How do you think,
this is the thing.
How is Connor Bedard supposed to go out there and play with this bullshit exploding on social media?
He's had a rough week, actually.
Well, the very next game, he played 15 minutes. He lost by 6 minutes. He's been averaging about 21. It had just started to come down a little bit. Then this thing hit. Yeah. And so he went, I think, a couple games without a point. Then he got a goal, his 11th. Now he's picked up another assist on the road to keep that rookie.
But you know what? It was quite detrimental. And that's the kind of thing that could really ruin a kid. I was like, I don't care what anybody says about Stifler's mom or whatever that stuff is. Like, there are 3 rules, right? 1, you don't fuck your friend's wife, girlfriend. Okay, you don't do that. That's just, you
shouldn't.
Don't do that, right?
Happens though. Right.
I know it does, but you shouldn't, right? Okay, and it just goes to show that. And if you're out there and you've done that, you're likely a douche. Okay. Yeah. So the second thing is that you try not to nail their moms, right? Like that's I can see there are occasions where that might work. Okay. Mostly in teenage movies, but you know what I mean. It's not cool to do that because it will forever ruin your relationship. How can you sit honestly, you couldn't do that. Okay, and the last one is that you know what? And there's an old saying. It's an old song actually. It's who's making love to your old lady while you're out making love. Okay, so if you're gonna fuck around, you better be prepared that your spouse is gonna do the same back to you. And you know what? That and if you can't reconcile that, which most people can't. Yeah. Okay. Then you don't fucking do that. And I'm not saying he did it. He didn't. And it was just actually these are just accusations. He did something. You know what? Maybe.
No, but it's already there's enough that's come out. We know it was with a Hawk employee. We know it was something egregious that broke the code. But the code today, and keep in mind the team. It's Chicago. Right. Keep in mind everything they've gone through just in the last few years. That's so right. Are they a little bit more sensitive to what's going on? However, the PA hasn't filed a grievance as of yet anyway. Right. So if there is any grounds, you think that they would, because it's termination of contract. So it's obviously
so does that mean he doesn't get paid?
Right. Yeah, this is a
so I think
this is a breach of the code they are the what's required to honor a contract, and so a termination of contract, you do not get paid. So, he's going to grieve that, and he hasn't as of yet.
He hasn't as of yet, but maybe the's...
we'll see.
Maybe there's another payment.
And maybe we're going to hear eventually what happened to the World Junior team in London, 5 years ago.
So, we're not going to hear that because all the wagons are circled, and everyone's going to try and keep everything as whatever it is. And you know what?
Well, we do know there's been some movement there. Like they did release a thing, and a couple of players said, no, going to our lawyers and we're appealing right away before it even goes public. So we do know. I just catch myself here very quickly because there actually has been a little bit of movement on the World Junior thing in London. However it plays out ultimately at the end, who really knows? But at least there has been some traction there. In regards to Corey Perry and the PA, well, we'll see. You know, I don't know. I mean, this is pretty rare. I don't know what sort of timeline they would be going through. I would assume he would have gone to lawyers right away. You know, obviously he had to release a statement. He did. Connor released a statement. He did. The Hawks have released a statement, and everybody.
And the mom did.
I didn't see hers.
Yeah, apparently she did. She said something. And you know what? Very, very brief. She's off all of her, like, you know, it basically changes her whole
for sure.
Right?
Yeah, the whole thing. So, I don't know how that.
And people were sending nasty things to her, assuming that she had done that. And,
of course.
And so
it's the sad reality of today is these goddamn phones have made not only have they shrunk the world and they've changed the entire dynamic of every single bit of communication as we know it.
Well, listen, but we're doing this on a phone.
I know exactly, and you know, and you're right, and thousands of others the world over are doing these as well, podcasts, vlogs, webcasts, what have you. But it's the anonymity of the overwhelming majority of these gutless pukes that put this shit out there, which is exactly what happened here. But man, they just rode a tempest in a teapot here, and he hit the mother lode of all threads. But now, if you notice, the pendulum swung full circle, and anybody that's out there is trying to perpetuate and keep this ridiculous notion going is now they're getting piled on pretty heavy.
You know what?
So
and
because everybody's released a statement and
said
and it's an employee that Corey got in and he's checking himself into rehab for drinking.
Yeah.
So he's gassed out of his mind, obviously, and he did something egregious, obviously.
Yeah.
And it was enough that it caused a termination of contract, maybe by a bit of an hyper franchise because of everything that's gone on. I don't have a problem with that. And we'll see if Corey can appeal. But I mean, now, Chris, in the last 24 to 48 hours, I have seen not one, but two people on Twitter, and these are
legitimate people.
Real names, are saying, hey, Corey's on waivers. We should maybe take a look.
Yeah.
You know, it behooves us to maybe take a look. The guy played 16 games, had 7 points, was doing a hell of a job out there for Chicago.
Yeah.
So if he's got issues, he joins a very lengthy list of players that have had drinking or substance abuse problems, just that we know, let alone the people who drank their way through their careers in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s.
Are you referring to just men's hockey that I play in? Because there's a lot of that there too. I'm one of them, but I'm
as we sit here,
that's right. As we sit here and drink beer, which is the whole idea. But that's the thing. Yeah. We're not being paid to be role models, right? We just happen to be role models.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So it's something else. Oh, actually, you know what? We're gonna leave and we're gonna come back right after Puck Bunnies and Zamboni Boy.
I really, 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 really like girls. Yeah, I really, 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 really like girls. I like girls. I like girls. I like girls.
Hey, welcome back. This is our segment that we call Puck Bunnies and Boy, and it's because we really, 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 really like girls. Okay?
Yeah,
we do. And you know what? The ultimate, and I use that term a lot, actually. I've noticed that when I say this. There were a lot of things that were really big, okay? I don't think there was a bigger poster in the history of posters.
Number one seller in world history.
Okay.
That's
number one seller in world history,
yeah.
Okay, is this poster of alongside, I don't even know what she was along back of. It looked like a car, funky paint job, but in a red, it's faded, a faded red bathing suit, okay, was Farrah Fawcett. And
greatest ever. We'll have a tough time beating this one.
Well, and listen, and you have to bring up this. I very
ironic,
very attractive, And she was with Ryan O'Neal for years, and she was with Lee Majors.
Yeah.
She was with the stuntman, right? Lee Majors.
Well, $6 million man.
And $6 million man, true, yeah. But then he became the stuntman, right?
Yeah, he did. But I mean, $6 million.
The music. You remember that?
Yeah, no, I remember the stuntman. I didn't watch that much of it, but $6 million man, I was a big fan of. And I really like Lindsay Wagner too. Maybe she'll be a pick one day. But Farrah, ironically, you don't think so?
Not for me.
No? Okay, all right.
Well, I mean, you could pick her if you want, but you know.
Well, hey, no.
Listen. I not that I don't think she's attractive. She was. She's not my type. Yeah. But I don't like women who can kick my ass. And the bionic woman, I frankly don't trust.
Well, you know,
it'd be like, you know what?
I'm gonna break it to you. That's actually fake.
Really?
Yeah. So you may have a chance.
Because I got
2 falls out of 3.
Because here's the thing. I was thinking, man, a hand job from her. Anyhow, this is why we're not on network television.
Right. They're probably fishing around though, looking for some new talent.
You know what?
We could be the guys.
You could be.
Listen, this is great because Ron Duguay spent an hour in the car talking about Farrah last week as we drove, as I just said on the show, a little wherever this comes in, from Campbellton to Minto. Like, they dated. He dated Farrah. I mean, it was incredible to hear him telling firsthand about what it was like being with her. This was after the poster had come out. Like, there could not have been a more, not sought after, because 99.9% of all of us knew, you know, or more fantasized.
She's got the most famous nipple in the world.
Yeah, there's no question.
That
in that poster,
that
nipple you see clearly, the bathing suit, the look, the hair was so dynamic. I said to Ron, like, you know, because every interview that she did, I remember washing clubs at Rideau, working in the back shop with Johnny Mott and a couple of guys, maybe Bruce Burke, 1 or 2 others, and Charlie's Angels had come on, and she was so dynamic and just so unbelievably hot. And we would stand around washing clubs going, what could we do? How could we possibly meet her? Like, from the back shop at Rideau on Rideau Valley Drive in the mid-70s, 3 teenage boys, just pure infatuation with her. And here I am in the car last week with a guy who dated her for like almost 3 months. Yeah. You know? And
you know what? That's pretty cool. Like, here's the thing. Now, she's passed away, is she not?
She died the same day as Michael Jackson.
Really?
The exact same day.
Well, you know what? That actually, really, because that's actually the same day that my mother died.
You're kidding?
Yeah. And I was in Alaska at the time, and coming home, and everyone's going on, I can't believe Michael's gone. I can't believe Michael's gone. And I was like, fuck you. He was a pedophile and a great singer, but you know, he fucked kids. My mom died. You know, I was kind of bitter at the time. I think I slugged at some kid who was doing the moonwalk or something. I didn't slug on my trip.
Yeah.
I tripped him.
Well, there you go.
But so Farrah died the same day as my mom.
Same day. She actually died earlier in the day, like in the sort of the wee hours, whatever you want to call it. And I can't remember the date. I think it was
She
June.
had cancer, likely?
She had cancer. She had cancer. She died of cancer. I think it was, I'm not sure what it was actually. I've heard it before. But I know she was from Corpus Christi, Texas. Yeah. Because the same place Brian Leach was from.
Oh, okay.
And I know she won a beauty contest or 2. She got into some modeling. And she got on a TV show. I'm trying to remember. It was one of the dating shows or whatever that they had back in the late 60s. And she got on that, and if you look, there's lots of videos, lots of pictures, and her hair was more reflective of the 60s. She didn't really go that look till a little later. But, you know, things just progressed, and I don't know all the details. But all I know is, you know, when she was cast in Charlie's Angels, and she only stayed the 1 year, right?
That's right, but she was the biggest star.
Oh, by far.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Jacqueline Smith and Kate Jackson, 2 beautiful women in their own right, but I mean, Farrah was she was, and the poster came out at the same time.
Iconic, right?
Iconic, absolutely.
That's you know, that's what you do, and you know what? And there's lots of other beautiful pictures of her or whatever, but again, because of that poster, a lot of young men figured out that they were heterosexual. Okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And so for that reason and that reason alone.
I want to take a toast to her right now.
Toast to our Puck Bunny of the week.
Best one so far, in
my
opinion, and I don't think we'll ever get anybody.
I disagree. You know what? Last week's, our Anne Margrock was better. Anne Margrock, way hot. But we'll talk about it. But listen, to this week, Farrah Fawcett.
He was a skater boy, she said see you later boy, he wasn't good enough for her.
All right, now we're in the segment called a Zamboni boy.
Oh.
Zamboni boy, and this week we're gonna pick Zamboni boy, and it's not the Italian you think I'm going to pick. Okay. Probably the coolest though, the coolest Italian ever, the coolest crooner, coolest actor, coolest guy.
Dino.
Period. Dean Martin.
Love
Dean
it.
Martin.
Love it.
Was he was a star with a comedic star.
Yep.
Okay, with Dean Martin, Jerry Lewis.
Yeah.
For 10 years, they dominated everything. They started it was wildfire.
Yeah.
Like that, you know when they talk about lightning in a jar?
Yeah.
Okay? And that was lightning in a jar. It was unbelievable. And Dean Martin, when he ended that, okay, after 10 years, to the day, by the way. 10 years to the day.
Yeah.
Okay, of their first performance. 10 years to the day, he ended it. And everybody said, Dean Martin is going nowhere without Jerry Lewis. Dean Martin is not, he's done, can't believe it. And for about 2 years, he couldn't get shit. Okay, he was kind of on the outs. Not quite 2 years. But, of course, who do you think came to his rescue?
Was it Frank Sinatra, probably?
Sinatra,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, and, Sinatra came and he suggested that he...
Was this... Has the Rat Pack been going?
Right, no.
These guys been going?
No, the short answer is no.
Okay.
And the original...
So I don't know the history.
this is not the original Rat Pack.
Oh.
Okay. So the original Rat Pack...
Is it not?
No, this is the second Rat Pack.
Oh.
Okay, so the original Rat Pack, okay?
Yeah.
Cary
Grant?
No, you think... Humphrey Bogart, okay, and he was related to Lauren Bacall,
right.
Which, by the way, Sinatra also was going to marry later on, okay, after Bogey died.
Yeah.
Okay, so they were out boozing and what have you, okay, and Frank happened to be there, but he wasn't he wasn't there at the time. Okay, he was there visiting Lauren Bacall. Okay, so Bogey and the boys come in, and she said, "Oh my God, you guys look like a pack of rats." And that's where it started.
Oh.
It was Lauren Bacall coined that.
Cool.
Okay, and then they started calling them. They started calling themselves the Rat Pack.
Okay.
And Sinatra kind of happened to be there at the time and took it on. But then later on, of course, when Bogey passed away and all those things, and Sinatra became
But who else was it though? Like who comprised the quartet or five guys that before
you know what?
Lawford and Davis and Dino?
Yeah. So you know what?
Had to be names we knew.
Our names that you know, but not like. And I was going to say Montgomery Cliff, and it's but it's of that ilk. And I don't know. I'd have to look it up. I remember it being
fair enough.
And it's from the Lauren Bacall perspective. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
And so, but at that time, Sinatra was on the outs. Okay. Because Sinatra, who his second wife, you know who his second wife was?
No.
One of the most beautiful women in the entire world. Okay, Ava Gardner.
Welcome outside with Oz and McGuire.
So Ava Gardner, that's who it was. Okay, So Ava Gardner.
Yeah.
He had just broken up with Ava Gardner. They had a very tumultuous and very passionate relationship, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And then he was kind of moving on, and Sinatra was a bit of a hound, right? Okay, but he was going nowhere at that early time. So if the early time, it wasn't until From Here to Eternity, where he played Maggio, that he got back in. But in the late 1940s, his voice went. Okay. Oh yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
His voice went. Yeah, so he had...
I mean, I'm a fan, but I never really read anything on the guy.
His voice went. He was kicked out. the rumor has it he got Ava Gardner pregnant,
Oh.
which caused a big brouhaha with the studios.
Yeah.
You'll never work here again. You know the whole story. That the scene from The Godfather with the horse's head in the bed.
Yeah.
That's supposedly on behalf of Frank Sinatra. That was supposed to be Frank Sinatra, and that's how he got the role in From Here to Eternity.
Okay.
Okay, so that's that. Those are the rumors,
Right.
From the and how it, and it's kind of lore.
Yeah.
But all that being said, is that later on Frank started hanging with the guys, and then they started to call themselves the Rat Pack, and it wasn't until they started really, as they started being known, was when they started filming Ocean's 11. That they started hanging out, and that's how they became that.
Okay.
And then it lasted for about 5 years only.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stretch throughout, and that was in the 60s. Okay.
Yeah.
With respect to that piece.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's sort of the story. He knows hockey, but I know Frank and Dino.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't, but I will. I'll just say my own little bit about Dean Martin, the greatest one. I love the scene in the movie. I love the song. It's a John Wayne movie. It's one
Rio Bravo.
It's a Rio Bravo.
Real Bravo.
With Ricky Nelson.
Ricky Nelson.
And my rifle, my pony, and me.
Gonna hang my sombrero on the limb of a tree. Coming home, sweetheart, darling, just my rifle, pony, and me.
And I love it. When you think about who they are from a musical point of view, and they're in this Western with arguably the most iconic actor in Western movie history.
Ricky Nelson?
Yeah, and the Duke. And it's I love the Duke, and I love all his movies.
And you know that why he was named Duke?
No. I read it somewhere, but
no,
I can't remember.
and this is reminiscent of what they
Duke,
used
yeah,
it.
they reference him as Duke.
Okay,
yeah, not the Duke, but
okay.
yeah.
So that was his dog's name when he was a kid, and Steven Spielberg stole that for Indiana Jones and used that as in the character for Indiana Jones.
Cool.
Yeah,
Very cool.
That's just a little thing that I happen to know about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I know the rifle. He used the same rifle in all the movies.
Is that right?
You know, it's just like Alan Alda and MASH. Those dog tags. They actually came from a vet.
Really?
Yeah. So I mean, there's some things in movie or TV history that had continuity.
Yeah.
And I love that. But I did not know how he was nicknamed Duke. But I know that. I know it's not the.
So
Duke. But Dean Martin, yeah.
So Dean Martin, great. So big star, comedy, circuit wide, movies, everything, top of the world. Leaves, then he recreates himself as an actor.
Yeah.
Okay, and then he later on stars in a lot of films. Was an action star. Was you know what I mean? I don't know. I could go on and on about all the different things that he did throughout.
Yeah.
Okay. Of course, his singing took off.
Yeah.
Because you know what I mean. And he was a major recording star.
Yeah.
Okay. For that whole time, and then on top of it, a television star with the Dean Martin roasts, which were
outstanding.
Outstanding.
Yeah. So funny.
And so Dean Martin, I missed seeing Dean Martin.
Yeah.
I told you the story or not?
I can't remember.
So it's late 1980s.
Yeah.
And I'm in Vegas with Kristen. Okay. And everything's dark Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is when the shows are starting. Dean Martin's playing.
Okay.
Dean Martin, the Gold Diggers. Okay.
Yep.
And at the time, they were playing at what was the MGM. It might have been Bally's at that time. I can't recall, but he was playing on the Strip. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I get called from work because we were on a vacation. Oh, you got to come back early. You can't. And I said, I don't want to come back. Anyways, I ended up leaving. I said, well, I'll go see Dean Martin another time, which we had planned on going back anyway. And that was in September. It was like Labor Day weekend. He had his last performance in October of his life, and he left. Wow. He lost all passion for life when his son was killed. His son was a pilot, a military pilot, and he was killed in a training exercise.
I did not know that either.
Yeah, Dean Martin Jr.
Wow.
But But the coolest of guys, the silkiest voice.
No doubt about it.
Okay?
Yeah, no doubt about it.
And you know what's the best part about it? You know what? When Dean Martin
Dean Martin wasn't his real name. He was great.
Crescetti.
Is that what it was?
Paul Crescetti.
Okay.
Yeah. But as I was going to say, his when he sings, you can hear the smile.
Yeah.
When he sings.
Yeah.
You know? When the moon hits your eyes. That smile's there, baby. Like, you know what? That's other guys, you know, like we'll have but Dean Martin, always that smile, always that little bit of, hey, little playfulness and everything.
Yeah.
You gotta love him. So, you know what?
Huge fans. That's a great pick.
Thanks very much. So,
Great pick.
Zamboni boy this week, Dino. Hey, welcome back. You know what? We both love the picks this week. Would you agree? Farrah and Dino?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the most enthusiastic I've been.
Okay.
Other than when we did.
There was a bit of
Other than when we did. We got the Duke in there. I mean, you hit the home run with me bud, today.
So
I've been a slow convert to this, but you kind of got me.
But we're not like disrespecting anybody. And
no, I know. I've been a slow convert, but you know, but the picks today were just outstanding.
Hang on, good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad. So
credit to you.
That being said, okay, we got to get back to talking about some hockey and some things that are interesting.
That's where I'm liking.
So I'm watching the Vancouver game.
Yeah.
Okay, the other night.
Yeah.
And this young fella, I'll just say his name is the captain of the team.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quinn Hughes.
Yeah.
Right. And I can't get over how good this kid is.
I know. Yeah.
Right. And he steps in there and he scores another goal and he and it's almost as if you know more about this that he's playing a rover instead of playing a defensive position, right?
Yeah, a little bit of Paul Coffey in there, maybe.
Like it's like I find it like, is this guy really a defenseman? I know, and he gets back in time and he got all that, but I tell you, I am so impressed with this kid's play. But that brings us to an important moment in hockey history.
Yeah, well,
it's
tomorrow night as we sit here.
Right. So
but
Tuesday.
If you put this out on Wednesday, it will have already happened. So people will have seen it, and if you don't watch the game, you'll probably see a snippet in the highlights. I'm quite certain they'll do some sort of photo before. Yeah. That's what all the brothers are doing. But for the first time, all three Hughes brothers are going to be on the ice.
Now, mom and dad are obviously going to go to
the game. They're going to the game.
Yeah.
They'll be there, and I will be watching it. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I mean, they're not the first to have this happen. It's actually the 9th time in NHL history, so there is...
That all the brothers, or just 3 brothers?
That 3 brothers.
3 brothers.
Yeah.
Because there's more than 3 brothers.
Well, the Sutters have had 4 in the same
at
game,
the same time,
which is the record.
Yeah.
But 3 brothers first played together in the same game back in the early 20s, the Boucher brothers.
Okay.
There was 4 of them, but there was 2 times that 3 of the 4 played in the same game because Bobby only played a handful of games for Montreal. Bobby Boucher. Yeah, Bobby.
Yeah.
Whereas Frank and George played a ton, and Billy was next. Actually, Billy scored the first goal ever in the Montreal Forum, November 29th, 1924, beat Toronto 7-1. But Bobby played the least. Regardless, you had George, Frank, and Billy, and then you had Bob, Billy, and George, because Frank went out west, and then he came back with the Rangers. So they're the first. But this is really cool, what's going on today. Interesting, though, Chris, like there's 20 brother combinations playing this year in the NHL. Which is also a record. There's never been that many, and it's I don't know what's in the water or whatever.
Well, but it's the development.
Well, look at Ottawa alone with the father and sons. I mean, there's just families are more. I can't speak to the other sports like I can hockey, but hockey has been predominant with families. I mean, like I was saying about the Bouchers had 4. It took forever till all 6 Sutters. Well, the 5th Sutters. Well, the 5th and 6th played together because there's Ronnie and Rich, the twins. Yeah. So. To make 6 Sutters, which is now the all-time mark. But, I mean, you've had 3 brothers on the same team. Like, this is, tomorrow night is 3 in the same game.
Yeah.
You've got Jack and Luke with New Jersey and Quinn, as you just talked about, with Vancouver. But, I mean, you've had you've had 3 Bentleys, you've had 3 Plagers, you've had 3 Stashneys, and you had 3 Stalls.
Right.
So, which was just last year, April. You had 13th, and then the 25th when Jared got called up to make 3 on one team. On the 13th, they had the same scenario as what's happening with the Hughes. So, but still, the Hughes are only going to be, it's only the 9th time since 1917. I think that's fantastic.
Yes, but you know what's
very cool?
What's really cool is it's the first time for their parents to watch all 3 of their boys playing in the NHL.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day. Now, I will tell a story. I once played with my 2 brothers on a line together.
Yeah.
And I'm much younger, right? You know,
Yeah.
So, but at Ottawa University. So I had one brother who played at Ottawa.
Yeah.
But then later on, we were playing intramural.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. He had a concussion. Long story. But
yeah.
Okay. So we're playing, and so I didn't go to Ottawa U. I went to Carleton.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even in school. I was still in high school. And my brother Jeff was not. He was in town. So this intramural league, we had 2 friends who were brothers. Okay, but they didn't play hockey at all.
Right.
So we became them.
Oh.
Okay, and their idea, we played in this league. So
okay.
Technically illegally.
Yeah.
Okay, and so to this day, those 2 brothers cannot be involved in any intercollegiate hockey.
Soccer.
So what happened is that, you know, one brother, we were doing a change. Okay, my first brother goes on, Jeff, who lives here, and some guy runs him from behind.
Oh no. Okay.
And so then, before I can even turn, I didn't even know this is happening. My other brother is vaulting over the bench, and he's gone. And I turn around. Next thing you know, it was mayhem. It was mayhem.
Yeah.
And this is University intramural hockey. So, anyways, you know what?
Hockey.
Matthew and Barnaby Wallace, you guys are in big trouble.
You're suspended for life. I got to give a shout out then too, because everyone's going to talk about the Hansons.
That's right.
The most famous brother combination was actually 2 brothers and Dave Hansen, the Carlson brothers.
Yeah.
It would have been all 3 Carlson brothers, but Jack got called up to the Minnesota Fighting Saints in the WHA. So Jeff and Steve were joined by Dave Hansen, who was a teammate of theirs on the Jets and Johnstown, and the producers, I think it was Roy Hill, I believe, the producer, and the other people in charge decided that they liked the surname the Hansons more than the Carlsons, so they went. That's how they became the Hanson brothers. It was really just 2 brothers. But I played ball hockey with the Glover brothers, Mike, Randy, and Chris. And that was well, let's put it this way: Mike and Randy got kicked out of the Osgood League, and I can't even say, even on internet camera, I don't even want to say what they did. And also had the good fortune in the early 80s of playing with the Oliver brothers. I think Andy watches this show. That's Big Jim, Ollie, Pete, and Andy, who is Cease, nicknames. And good to go too. Yeah, good to go. So I love it.
Well, when someone hits your brother,
it's neither of my brothers played sports.
That being said, I've seen brothers going at it themselves.
Well, look at Brady and Matthew here.
Yeah,
in Florida.
But on the same team. So there's a trio of brothers that I play with now. Okay, who are like honestly one of some of my closest friends. Like one of my closest friends. And
Italian by chance?
Yeah, it might be Italian.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
and he's got brothers, and oh my God, we're on the same team, and they'll be fighting with each other.
Yeah.
Okay, on the bench, and it's almost ready to it's just passion, right?
Yeah.
But it's so fun to watch, right? And I love it, and I just think, oh, thank God that I'm not the only family that's like that, right? Like
intensity, man. You get caught up in sports, I'll tell you, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And of course, families, it drives a lot lot of passion.
Yeah.
But, it's the old story. Hey, look, I can hit my brother, but you can't. That's a different story.
Well, that's the same with kids, right? You can't hit your own kid.
Right.
But you can hit someone else's kid.
Okay.
That's why I always hired somebody to come in and beat my children.
That's good, yeah.
It's just a kid who's like 2 years older.
Yeah.
The worst they would get is you shouldn't bully, right? But really, I had brought them in to do a little bit of attitude adjustment with my own.
Right.
Was that wrong?
No. Absolutely not.
Okay, so that's a good jumping off point, though. The ninth time in history. So we're going to jump to this week in hockey history.
Hello, Canada.
Lafleur coming out rather gingerly. Back to Lafleur.
Shoots. He scores!
This week in hockey history.
Hey, welcome back to This Week in Hockey History. And this is actually a big week. This is actually today, December 4th, is a big day. So we'll even talk about just this day in hockey history.
Yeah.
And now, Liam, if I was to go through the number of teams that are in the league, like let's say we were going to go through like the most storied franchise in hockey history.
Sports history?
Okay, sports history. Okay. Is a little known team.
California Golden Seals?
Yes, exactly. It was like the Colorado, whatever.
Colorado Rockies?
No, it's the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah.
The Les Habitants.
Canadiens de Montréal.
Canadiens de Montréal.
Yeah.
What's the H for?
Well, the H is Club de Hockey Canadien, which is what they were chartered.
It wasn't the H for Habitant?
No, that's never. It's just one of those.
So why do they call them the Habitant?
Because habitant is a French word that loosely translates into meaning people of the city or city dwellers.
Oh, is that because the Habitants in history were the landowners, the farmers, and they each gave them the slices of land within Quebec. You know what? I'm showing that I'm a geek here. But,
no, not at all.
But I know it's
whole
very much
an interpretation.
a very thing. So and that was how Quebec was sort of settled. Right. And so that's what I thought it was, but I don't know.
Well, no, that's part of it. I mean, the media started referring to the Montreal Canadiens, and we're digressing because on this day in 1909, the Habs were formed.
In 1909.
1909, the Montreal Canadiens were formed by J. Ambrose O'Brien on December 4th, 1909, which is 100.
Point out that sounds like an Irish name.
He was of Irish ancestry. In fact, he was out of Renfrew in the Ottawa Valley, and really, without him, the NHA doesn't even start. It was a professional league that had, among the teams in it, were teams like Cobalt and Haileybury and Renfrew, who all had thriving mines at the time.
Yeah.
And he owned them all. So he had teams in these towns.
Industrial leagues, yeah.
And he started Montreal because he was advised. His advisors said, "Listen, you get a team of French-speaking players in Montreal, and you can tap into the French population of the city."
Yeah. And
so they were formed on this day in 1909. They played their first season. It was a 14-game schedule, I believe it was. They went 2-12. They were terrible, as you would expect any first-year team to be. Most anyway, other than Las Vegas. Yeah, exactly. And they sucked. And then the Montreal Wanderers were still around at the same time. And then when the Montreal Maroons came in 1924, this is after the NHL began, they actually wanted the Maroons to be the English-speaking representative in the National Hockey League.
Yeah.
And when the Canadians would play the Maroons, they would have to roll down chicken wire between the fans.
Oh, really?
The French section and the English section. The brawling was so intense between the two teams. But the Habs, after they started to get good by 1914, 1915, they went to a Stanley Cup final. They started making, not final in 14 or 15, but by 16 they won their first cup. 17 they lost the cup final to Seattle. But by then the media were calling them Habitants.
Okay.
And what I was always told, it loosely meant people of the city, the French, like the dwellers, the dwellers of the city, basically. Habitant got shortened to Hab. So the CH is Club de Hockey Canadien, which is how they were charted in 1909. Now, they did lose that name for one season, and they were called Club Athlétique Canadien, and they went right back the next year to Club de Hockey.
So is that why sometimes you see the CH or CA?
Yeah. So when they did all the retro sweaters,
yeah.
They actually went with it, and it was a blue sweater, and they went with it. Everybody hated it. I hated it as a Hab fan. I hated it.
Why was it? Because of the blue?
I hated it. The blue looked stupid to me. I would never ever buy it.
Did they ever have that color back then?
Yeah.
So that was the color back then.
Yeah, that's what they.
So it was throwback.
It was a throwback, which all the retros are. It's just
right.
cash cows, you know this. all the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th jerseys, and the Montreal Canadiens went with it too. And when they won the cup, their second cup in 24, the next season, 24-25, they went with a globe on as their crest because they were world champions. So that in 24-25, they went right back to the Stanley Cup final, by the way. They lost to Victoria, which is the last non-NHL team to win the Stanley Cup, the Victoria Cougars. And you're going, wait a minute, Liam, how can a non-NHL team win the Stanley Cup? Because when the NHL started in 1917, if you won the NHL, you didn't win the Stanley Cup. You had to play the winners of 2 other leagues across Canada.
Well, there was talk during COVID about, or at some point, or no, maybe it was during the lockout. Maybe that's what it was, the lockout year.
Yeah.
They were talking about, well, the NHL doesn't own the Stanley Cup.
It does, though.
It does now.
Yeah, no, it has since 1926. Okay. But there were people that were going to challenge it legally.
Right.
There was a group that's saying, "Hey, let's have the women play for it." There was another group.
Yeah,
that,
you know what? So first of all, yeah, you can't have that.
No, that
women need their own.
Absolutely,
own
it got shut down in 8 seconds.
Oh, okay.
But the other one was they said, look, give it to, let's have a tournament. Across Canada. It was originally a Canadian trophy, which it was.
Right. Yeah.
But there was a number of different entities. I don't know if anybody, and these were lawyers that were involved.
Yeah.
They were doing it pro bono, doing their own thing. Don't know if I don't know if they ever actually pursued it. But you're right.
Yeah.
There was talk of that. Hey, you're going to lose a whole season here. The Stanley Cup should go to somebody.
Yeah.
It was an amateur trophy, a challenge cup, which it was when it was first conceptualized, built, and handed out in 1893, and then played for in 1894. Won by the Montreal Amateur Athletic Association in March of 1894 against Ottawa. Final score 3-1. Billy Barlow scoring the first ever Stanley Cup winning goal. I know you all know that.
Yeah.
But in 05...
You need to read more.
I know, I gotta tell you, try and read this label every time I drink
It's getting smaller. As we get older, it's harder to read. That's
right.
Sorry, and you were saying.
Well, I was saying that you're right. In 2005, during the lockout, people tried to use the fact that the Stanley Cup, which is not even the real name of the trophy, the Dominion Challenge Cup of Canada.
Is that right? But Lord Stanley donated
Lord Stanley donated it. The Earl of Derby, Sir Frederick Arthur, had the cup built in 1892 in England for $48.67 at the time by Canadian conversion. It was 50 guineas, I believe, and then transported back. And he just gave it to whoever won the league that year, which was Montreal AAA, Amateur Athletic Association. They played the first game. It's just, to me, it's amazing how things proliferated, how quickly teams from all over, first of all, Quebec and Ottawa and Toronto, and then just grew so quickly across Canada to want to win this trophy. Well, it was amazing.
Absolutely.
I love it.
But here's the thing.
Love it from a historical point of view.
Well, and you know what? I'm going to say where I love it from. I love it from the game, right?
Yeah.
You want to show that you're good. Why do I go to these golf tournaments, right?
Yeah.
The Hickory golf tournaments. Okay, and I like it from the history stuff and everything like that. Within it's, I play. But, I want to go and I want to be recognized by, in a tournament, get a good score. I haven't done that yet, but one of these days, I'm going to make a comeback at next year's Hero.
Oh, yeah? There you go.
No, but my point is that people want to compete.
Yeah.
Like, it's the whole idea, and you want to show, you want to know that you're better or not.
Yeah, for sure.
Than somebody else.
No, I
love it. I love that.
I get it too. I just, this is the late 1800s, and with the world, we can't even imagine. And it's just, to me, how quickly it grew, and how quickly, within 10 years, you've got Kenora winning the Stanley Cup, right? Kenora, Ontario. Wow. And the teams that challenged for it. Like, I was just in New Brunswick for a week, and everywhere I spoke, I reminded, these were the majority of our crowd, both in the rink and in the post games where I would do introductions, do some trivia and whatnot. I would remind local people from New Brunswick. I said, Moncton challenged for the Stanley Cup. Our dear friend Mike LeBlanc is from Moncton.
Yeah.
I mean, they challenged for the Stanley Cup in 1912. It's legit. They had a team. They had 2 guys on that team that are now currently in the Hockey Hall of Fame.
But they didn't win.
No, they didn't win, but they played for the Stanley Cup. Moncton, New Brunswick.
Yeah.
I just think that's fantastic. So this is how things just grew so quickly, and then they realized they couldn't keep the money out of the game. So a pro league was formed in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan in 1908. And then J. Ambrose O'Brien said, hey, if they're going to start paying guys and they're raiding our guys, we're going to start paying too.
Well,
and that's how pro hockey took off with the NHA, and he formed the Montreal Canadiens on this day in 1909.
December 4th, 1909.
December 4th, 1909.
I don't know the year. I think it was 1960 something.
Okay.
December 4th, Gordie Howe scores 700 goals.
He did. 68 against Pittsburgh Penguins. Goalie was Les Pinkley. Yeah,
that's right. And I think he had two in that night. He had 2 points anyway that night.
Yeah.
But yeah, I happened to come across that a while ago, and I was remembering it.
Yeah.
For that, so that I was gonna surprise you with my fucking brilliance and knowledge on this day in hockey.
Well, good for you for pulling that out, man. That's a fantastic one. And Gordie was obviously the first guy to get to 700 goals, and it took a hell of a long time before not that long. Phil Esposito got there next, and then a few others have now followed, and then Wayne blew everybody out, and now Ovi is sucking hind tit here trying to get some traction.
He's not going to do it.
Yeah,
he's not going to do it.
Let's hope not. It looks like he's really hit the quicksand here,
you know what? But here's the thing. There's
fan of the guy, but don't want him to beat the record.
Right. And I say this, there's no shame in finishing second.
No.
Unless of course you're Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, that's right.
But there's no shame in finishing at that point. Yeah. That being said, it would be nice to be able to say that. But you know what? I think we're still going to wait for Gretzky for a while. I think he'll be...
Jeez, it's hard to imagine anybody else. But who could have thought Ovi would have kept going, right? Like, he just looked like the Energizer Bunny. Yeah. And that's why I say he's the greatest goal scorer of all time, because he's actually led the NHL in goal scoring 8 times. Right. Nobody else has done that. Wayne didn't do it. Mario didn't do it. Mike Bossy didn't come close to doing it. He had 9 50-goal seasons. He led the NHL in goal scoring twice. So please, Bobby Hull 5 times, Rocco Richard 5 times. Nobody else has done what Ovi's done over the breadth of the career and the numbers that he's put up. It's just now at 38.
Yeah, no, he's, you know what?
He looks like the striding. Those first few strides look the same. If you look at Connor McDavid, we talked about Connor.
Rheumatoid arthritis.
I don't think so, but he what he has is just he's getting old.
Yeah.
To be effective in the game, and at 38, and there's only a very, very finite number of players that have done.
Corey Perry can still do it.
Well, what can he do? He had 7 points. I know where you're going on that.
Yeah.
Listen, last thing on the date. Got to throw it out there. Lost my dad on this day in 1995. So I always want to give a shout out to the memory of my dad, because it's such an amazing thing. That's why I carry my sound card with Paul Henderson. Anyone who knows me knows this. That my dad died December 4th, 1995. I was on national TV on CBC. You know the story. So I was on with Paul Henderson. They brought me out of the green room. Roy McGregor, the late Carl Brewer, Paul Henderson are on there. And I shake Paul's hand for the first time. That was a Monday night, 9:31 p.m. I looked at the clock like I'm looking at your clock, and behind there right now it said 9:31. I said, I got to remember that, of course. Went to the hotel after, phoned home, and Liz answered. So she's at my parents' house, and went, uh-oh. And I said, what's going on? And she got emotional. I said, Dad passed, eh? And she said, yeah, I mean, he was on last leg, so... Yeah. But I remember talking to my mom, well, I'm not going, Dad. And she said, you don't know when he's going to pass. You got a chance to meet Paul Henderson. What do you think your dad would say? You got to go. You got to go. So I did. So I've got that forever. I mean, I shook Paul's hand at 9:31, and the next morning, sitting around the coffee table, the kitchen table with my brothers, I asked Sean, when did Dad die? He took his last breath, leave at 9:31. I went, what the hell? I didn't even register right away. So on that date as well. Yeah. Lost Dad, and want to acknowledge him as well.
Well, you know what, and if I had known, I would have brought. I have some whiskey. I like the whiskey.
Yeah,
So we can have one. Well, when we go out later on.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I shouldn't, but I'll make this one exception.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'm only doing this for you.
Okay. Perfect.
All right. Well, that was this week in hockey history. Okay. Welcome back. So we are going to blow through a number of things because we're running out of time. Okay. At the end of the day. I know as much as I know people want to spend hours and hours, with us. Okay, so a couple of things that we wanted to talk about. Need a writer.
Oh yeah,
signs with. Which, by the way, you think he's advertising that he needs a writer? Because I need a writer. And just so you know that. Can you so
many lines there, so little time. I just don't know really where to go with that.
So, but he signed.
I love the signing.
Yeah,
I love the signing. Look, you got Scheifele and Hellebuck, and everyone's going, "What the hell?" It looked like there was going to be a mass exodus out of Winnipeg. You signed those two guys. You got Niederreiter, a very friendly contract, $4 million a year, and a 4-year, I believe, deal it was. I think it's 16 over 4. And the guy's playing great. Yeah. Winnipeg's playing great. They hardly missed a beat with Rick out after his wife had the stroke. Rick Bowness, the head coach I'm talking about. Everybody's, they're playing for each other. They're firmly in a playoff spot right now. Yeah. And I love it. I love the signing. I love the team. I'm a huge fan of the coach. I got to know him decently here in Ottawa in 92, 93. I'm a big fan. Nobody in hockey history has stood on a bench more than Rick Bowness. So it's...
Really?
Yeah, nobody. He's over 2,500 games as a coach, head coach or assistant coach. But he started with Winnipeg in the 80s. And now he's back in Winnipeg. So it's come full circle, which I love. It's great. And he's a super guy. He played junior in Montreal. He was on the same team as Mario Tremblay. Atlanta Flames, Detroit Red Wings. He was a tough guy when he played. Didn't play many games, but handled himself. Got into coaching. Been in it ever since. Great guy. I love it. You got Niederreiter signed. All of a sudden here, you got some foundational pieces on a team that I think a lot of people have really got out of sight, out of mind.
That is the thing.
No one's really talking about Portage-Maine and how windy it is there right now. They're just talking about the fact that the Jets are actually kind of a story, Yeah.
No, absolutely.
So it's a great signing. I'm glad we brought it up.
All right. So Connor Ingram.
Yeah. Connor Ingram. Again, another team that just disappears into obscurity week after week in hockey circles. Arizona. Yeah. Right? And Chris, we got like the 3 stars this week were Jack Hughes. Understandable. Yeah. He's back in New Jersey. He lit it up. 7 points, 4 games, or whatever. He's got the highest point per game average currently as we sit here right now. 1.76. We'll see. McDavid will go by it probably. But that's fine right now. We know he's leading the league when he got hurt. The second star of the week, Matthew Barzal on the Islanders.
Yeah.
Had a great week. Yeah, understandable, right?
Yeah.
Connor Ingram? What the hell? So, I mean, the guy was drafted by Tampa. They traded him to Nashville for a 7th round pick. This is what we do.
Not even a bag of pucks.
Not even a bag of pucks. I mean, as hockey fans, this is the fault of all of us, folks. We're so quick to pound anybody who looks like they're shit. This guy was World Junior All-Star goaltender. Looked like he had all the pedigree at 18, 19, 20. Comes into the show, can't deliver. Oh, he's a bum. Send him off. He goes to Nashville. What happens? Arizona picks him up on waivers. The guy's 26. This is the absolute prime for goaltending.
Well, and you know what? Here's the thing, though. When you go to Arizona, okay, it's a different element.
I get that.
It's not the same. And you know what? This is an opportunity. Who knows how it's going to play out?
Hold on one second, though. If the playoffs started today, they're in them. When was the last time you could say that? They're playing in a university arena.
I know.
They're playing in Arizona.
I can't get tickets.
Well, if you can't, then it's going to be a tough
ticket. Well, no, I mean, it's like they're too expensive.
Oh, that,
Because they're so rare. Yeah. Like, or scarce. I guess scarcity. That's, but they're too expensive. Like, I can't justify spending $500 to see the Arizona Coyotes.
Yeah. They are starting to fill that. They've had some sparse crowds, but now it's a 5,000 seat arena or whatever it is, university rink. But I love that Connor Ingram was a first star. By the way, he's a Canadian goaltender. There's a couple guys in the media, mainstream media, have written some disparaging stuff about Canadian goalie.
Who wrote that? I'd like to know who.
I don't want to say the guy.
No, just tell me who it is. I won't say anything bad about them.
I don't even want. I got into it pretty good with them. On Twitter, a few years ago. I'm surprised because I thought he blocked me, and then he must have unblocked me because I'm seeing his shit again. But look, I'm sure the guy's a good guy. He's a family guy. But
that's just you're a family guy. Hitler Hitler had a family.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. He had a dog too.
He did. Yeah. Hitler didn't have any children though.
No, he didn't have any children. We know of.
Well,
or he may have had them later after he left Germany. Okay.
It wasn't a lot of time there, I don't think. He was busy doing other things. But I mean. The bottom line
he had a life in South America later. Like, I mean, that was the whole thing.
Oh, was that it? Yeah, with Elvis or The bottom line is Ingram's a Canadian goaltender. And Aiden Hill's a Canadian goaltender.
Yeah.
And last year's Stanley Cup winning team with Aiden Hill had a Canadian goaltender. Colorado's starter was Canadian. St. Louis's starter was Canadian. Pittsburgh's starter in 17 and 16 was Canadian. Chicago's starter in 15 was Canadian. That's going back to 2015. These people write this shit. Connor Ingram's Canadian, 26 years old, just went 3-0, 1.63 goals against average, 9.47 save percentage. They've won 4 games in a row. If the playoffs start today, Arizona's in them, and he's playing a large role in it. And I love it. It's a great story.
That's good.
So Connor Ingram, Canadian kid, 26. That's what I'm talking about.
Now, whatever happened to? Remember when all the good goalies were Finns?
A
few years that they
and then before you go back a generation or 15 years before that, they were all French Canadian because of Patrick Roy.
Yeah.
Everybody started coming along. Jaguar, and Lalongo, as Graves used to say. Lalongo, and I mean, these guys started coming along that were great that from French Canada, or certainly with French, because of Patrick Roy. Then the Finns, started coming. They're still good. Look, there's a lot of great goaltenders out there.
No, absolutely.
I'm not saying. All I'm saying is that these people, you people out there,
you
people out there.
I want to know who these people are specifically.
Are you
making a blanket statement about all journalists?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I just don't. I don't even. Chris, I don't even want to go there.
So because we're doing this and we're making commentary and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How would you define? Are you a journalist now?
I'm a broadcast journalist.
You're a broadcast journalist?
I have previously been a print journalist.
Okay.
I worked for the Ottawa Sun for 4 years.
Right.
And I've written 4 books.
Right.
So I think I also qualify as a writer. But if you mean like right now,
today, how would you describe? Could we say that you're one of them?
No.
No?
No, because I'm not working in the full-time media. I'm not cashing.
Yeah, but no one's working in the full-time media.
Well, yeah, there still are.
But 6 guys?
No, I mean, it's been decimated, and I feel bad about all that. But I mean, the Athletics started up and swept up a lot of them.
Right.
And everybody else went to a webcast like us.
Right. But Google
Google
gave $100 million. Apparently, we can get some of that. As a small time.
Okay, well, let's look into that, man.
Exactly.
That works for me.
I only need the $100 million once, right?
Yeah. Did that be enough? You think?
Oh, you know what?
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I'd be tough to spend. I don't know.
You know what? No, I got it all planned out. If I ever win the lottery, I know exactly how I'm building wealth for the future.
Oh,
okay, for not just for me, but for generations of me.
I'm gonna get a plane. I'm gonna I've got it all figured out too.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody at some point has sat down and thought about it. Because it happens.
Yeah.
And
I'm not getting a plane. I'm gonna fly economy class.
Yeah, that's good.
Air Canada.
Yeah.
All the way because you know what?
Like all the way around the world.
Yeah. Air Canada sitting with
in a prop.
That's right. And I didn't, and not, and
it's like Amelia
and not prepaying for my fucking seat. It's like unbelievable. Here's a ticket to the plane, but you can't have a seat. So you got to pay extra for a seat. Fuck you! I got to pay extra. Yeah. It's like the whole thing. I go to the grocery store, and the whole bag thing drives me nuts. It always did, right?
Would you like how often do you remember actually to bring one in?
I know.
Do you know how many bags I have in the back of my truck?
But that's it. It's fucking.
I got enough to build a tent.
Seriously. Well, they're making so much money. Someone said, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to say it's about the environment. Oh, that's a good one. I like that. Good. That's about the right.
Yeah.
And then we're going to charge them for a bag to buy the shit that they came to our store and are paying overpriced for. Right?
Exactly.
And it's like, so I get this. So I'm going through the cash. Okay, first of all, I got to tell you this. So I go and I say to the guy, and I'm looking for, and I'm a classy guy. And maybe I've said, did I say this last week?
You said you were a classy guy.
Yeah. I have to keep reiterating it. Because then maybe I'll believe it at some point. So I go and I'm looking for bologna. Did I tell you this story?
That sounds familiar, but I can't remember.
I was looking for bologna. I said to the guy, I said, excuse me, I'm looking for the bologna. I couldn't find. He goes, I don't know if we carry that anymore. What? You don't carry bologna? Like, what? He goes, well, we have it in the deli. We can slice it for you, but we don't carry it there anymore. They've got cheeses from around the world, but they don't have any fucking Schneider's bologna. Like, that's horseshit. So then I go through the cash, and they go to me. They go, and I don't have any bags, right? So I run out to the car, I get a couple, because we keep them in the car. I go back, and I come back, and they don't even bag them for you anymore. Like, it's not no bagging. I'm bagging my own shit.
Do your own stuff, man.
And they go, would you like to donate to our fund, for the charity?
Yeah.
And I thought, fuck you. Okay, I said, I'm sorry for swearing, but I said that, and it's not that I don't have anything to do with charity. So I'm not going to do something in the name of, whether it be Canadian Tire or Sobeys or Loblaws, in their name, in their trust, in their foundation, that they can go and do this. You know what I give money to? I'll tell you what, I'll give you 3 cents. How about a bag? Just give me a bag. Like, I want a bag. Like, I gotta tell you something right now, folks. If anyone's actually watching this particular part of the show, okay, I'm gonna guarantee you, we are going to be selling product here on Haas McGuire. And you know what? With every purchase, you are gonna get a fucking bag. And a nice fucking bag. Okay? We got, how many bags you got? You got a lot, right? You say, I got lots of bags.
I can't.
We're gonna get you guys, you're guys gonna get
easily
a bag.
20.
And I'm not charging you extra for the bag.
I just I walk in, I forget to bring them. And you're there and you got like 12 things. Oh,
I try to juggle things like I'm a woman walking from a river in Africa. On my head.
I have walked out with a handful of stuff just on point, principle.
Yeah.
I'm so pissed off. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
All right, well, we're gonna wrap up everything
right
now. We're done for the week. Is there anything you'd like to close on?
I don't think so. I'll be at your Christmas party Friday night, and
it's gonna be. You know what? So this is the first year that we've done only one party.
Yeah, I saw an email today, so I didn't even know that.
Well, I do.
I've only been to one party here previously.
That's right. Well, yeah.
And I was a late addition. Rocket just said, "You want to go?" And I said, "I know Chris.
Yeah,
Kristen. Yeah, I'll come."
And,
And then I think 4 or 5 hours later, I finally left.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's the best part, right? At the end of the day, if you're gonna have a Christmas party, you want it to last. You know what I mean? And it's not the.
It was good till the last drop.
Absolutely, and it's not about excessive behavior.
No,
it's just about, you know what I mean. You have to stretch out those wonderful times.
Yes, exactly. And you've got a beautiful home, and it'll be a blast. And I do have a full day Saturday anyway because my daughter's competing.
That's right. She's
in a powerlifting contest, her first ever on Saturday, and it's in Arnprior, so it's a bit of a hike. So you probably won't get the full Liam experience on Friday, which I'm sure all your other guests that are coming are quite happy to hear.
Well, yeah. Hey, listen, you got. There's great expectations for you. I just want to let you know that I've got some Edison Lighthouse on the playlist.
Oh boy, if that shows up, that's another hour guaranteed as soon as I hear that one song.
So, all right. Well, listen, a big week in hockey.
Yeah,
this is a big
lots
week
going on.
Lots of games going on. Lots of things happening.
David's back. Oilers are back. Jets with the signings. I love what's going on. Vancouver's strong. Toronto treading water, picking up points. Ottawa, huge week coming here. They've got like 14 more games this month here, and they've got to start packing some W's, the games in hand. Montreal have fallen back, obviously, 3-6-1 last 10. Injuries, Newhook's out, Doc's out, Savard's out, Weidman's out. Same old stuff. But, exciting game against Detroit nonetheless last Saturday. We'll see what happens. By the time you see this, they'll have played Seattle. Anyway, that's it, man. Calgary, same thing. They're treading water too, Chris. It's not looking particularly good there. Hasn't been the rebound from Huberdeau that everybody was hoping for. And they're maybe Daryl Sutter wasn't the problem. But I know Ryan Huska and Stafford and Craig Conroy, they didn't buckle on the Zadorov thing and finish on that. Zadorov ended up going to Vancouver. The rumor is, according to Elliot Friedman, pretty good source, that they couldn't agree on the money, on the retention of the contracts. And as a result, Zadorov goes to Vancouver for 2 picks. 2 picks for this guy's a beast. Yeah. He's a beast since he's been in Colorado, as far as I'm concerned. And now Tanev, allegedly, is still in the running, possibly with Toronto. But they, according to Elliott, the Leafs were in the running for maybe both of them. Holy lifted.
Wouldn't that have been a great
That would have changed the makeup of the Leafs people. I'm sure everyone else would agree.
But now it makes Vancouver even stronger.
Yeah. Because they're playing so well, they go to the playoffs. You got a guy like that in the lineup, exactly who you want in the playoffs. Yeah, he does turn sometimes like he's the Titanic, but I mean, he's a huge man and he plays with attitude. Yeah. And you know, it's not like he can't. You know, he's off the boards and out guy. He ain't taking it like Quinn Hughes. I got Quinn for that.
But exactly.
You know.
But exactly.
So it's Anyway, good stuff to finish on. That was it. Great show. Loved it. Pint's done. Time to go.
It's time to go. Well, this has been Offside with Hawes and McGuire. Thanks very much for watching.
I'm McGuire.
Oh, that's right. I'm Hawes.
G'day.